Hi, team. This is George. So, thank you for the amazing effort you're putting forward up to this week. Can you believe we're in week 5? It's hard for me to believe that we are. So, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on our discussion questions. We're looking at organizational improvement and creating compensation plans for organizational improvement. What I find to be of deep meaning is that you're going to complete a self-assessment. Now, remember, we've been talking about trust last week and this week. We use the same quote from Lencioni. The best way to build trust is through a leader's vulnerability. Well, self-assessments and 360 assessments, we're just talking about self-assessments right now, but self-assessments are one way that you can show your vulnerability because you can share the results and you can grow in certain areas that you choose to grow in. So that is one fantastic way to put that vulnerability into action. So I wanted just to say that, and then I wanted to focus in on our signature assignments. I know you're well on the path of creating your signature assignment, but I want to talk about a couple things because what I found is that if we only focus on content, we miss the mark. Content is hugely important, but what I always would tell my trainers is you're not teaching content. Learners are learning content. You're teaching people. So content is so important that it's important enough to focus on the people so you can deliver that content in a way that's meaningful to them. And that's what we have to focus on, how to deliver that content in a way that's meaningful to them. And one way that I like to do it, and this will be in your announcement as well. So if you're listening to this, you've probably seen the announcement already, but it's the learning pyramid, and it looks at passive or active teaching methods, participatory teaching methods. These are just 3 ways that we can have active teaching, active learning, because if we see here, lectures one way, reading, audio-visual demonstration, those are all passive. And you notice there's not a big bang for the buck there, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%. But when we start getting into group discussions, practice by doing, and teaching others, the retention or the outcomes just go up exponentially. So think about that as you're putting your signature assignment together. How are you going to come across? Are you going to lecture, or are you going to practice by doing, have others teach parts and pieces of the course? So what are you thinking? What are ways where you can engage the learner to fall into these participatory teaching methods? So it's something definitely to think about. At Lockheed, when I did this, I actually outlawed lecture, and it worked fantastically because what it did was it forced them to get the information across primarily through demonstrations and discussions and practicing by doing. And when we rolled out the first classes that I did no lecture on, it had to be demonstration, performance, group discussion, something like that. The outcomes in the shop area were much greater than what they initially were. So I'm a firm believer in the participatory methods. Does it fit all the time, every time? Nothing's 100%, but we can always look on how to do things better than the current way we're doing it. So take a look from that perspective as you're building your signature assignment training program. And if you have any questions, please just give me an email, text, whatever it may be. My phone number is 760-912-9242. Feel free to send me a text if you'd like to have a meeting or just have a quick question. Please just let me know. And thanks again for all the effort that it takes to be this engaged in class. So let's have another great week.